Hey guys, welcome to the tutorial in which we're going to be looking at vocabulary for describing successful and unsuccessful leaders. So we need to define our terms a little bit. First of all, what makes a leader successful? Well, here are some of the key concepts that you might associate with that. A successful leader could often be described as visionary. That is someone with the ability to see the big picture and inspire others with clear future direction. They would hopefully be empathetic, that is, they understand and consider other perspectives, building trust and strong team relationships within their teams. They should hopefully be decisive. Confident and timely decision making is a key quality, enabling leaders to navigate challenges effectively. They should definitely be accountable, meaning that they take responsibility for outcomes, both good and bad, demonstrating high integrity and earning respect from others. Something to think about at this early stage is which of these traits do you value the most in a manager? If you are a manager or you have a manager, which of these qualities on the screen right now do you consider to be important, perhaps the most important, and why? We think about common complaints, let's say, describing unsuccessful leaders. One type of complaint can be that they are authoritarian, meaning that they are overly controlling or rigid, and that limits the creativity and morale because they enforce strict rules without any flexibility. They can be indecisive, avoiding tough decisions, causing delays and uncertainty, undermining confidence in the leader's ability to guide effectively. They can be inflexible, that is, resistance to change, which prevents adaptation and growth, leaving the team unable to respond to evolving challenges. They can be detached, which is disconnected leaders who fail to understand or meet team needs, resulting in poor communication and low engagement. These last couple of screens actually, they describe the type of person that a leader is, both positive and negative, but not what they do, but it's to do with how they behave with other people. So a manager, let's say, could be technically competent but inflexible. So it's not about what they do, it's about how they interact and manage the team and the human resources that they have available to them. Some other positives, we could use the adjective inspirational, meaning that this manager motivates and energizes others. For example, she's an inspirational leader who brings out the best in her team. Strategic means planning carefully for long-term goals. He's a strategic thinker who always considers market trends. Supportive encourages and assists others. His supportive attitude builds strong loyalty. Adaptable, adjusts to change easily. Good leaders are adaptable under pressure. So good leaders should be inspirational, strategic, supportive, and adaptable. Some negatives. Overbearing. So someone who's overbearing dominates discussions and ignores input. So if I can say he can be overbearing in meetings, that means he really just likes the sound of his own voice in meetings and doesn't want to consider other perspectives or opinions or ideas. Inconsistent means that they change direction too often, or inconsistent messages confuse the team. Micromanaging means controlling every detail. It's usually considered negative. It tends to micromanage rather than trust, or micromanage rather than delegate. Unapproachable means difficult to talk to. Staff feel nervous because he's unapproachable. So there's some negative adjectives. Overbearing, inconsistent, micromanaging, unapproachable. These would almost always invariably be negative. Some collocations and phrases that you'll often find in association with management. Comparing leaders, common collocations and phrases highlight their styles. For example, a hands-on approach versus a hands-off approach. So hands-on approach means that the manager is actively involved, present, probably physically in the room, involved in decision making and supporting and helping the staff. Hands off is more like laissez-faire that we saw. If you saw the other tutorial we did on management styles, hands off is leaving the team to get on with it. And again, both styles can be completely appropriate and correct depending on the circumstances, depending on the team, either hands on or hands off. Other sort of not opposite, but say contrary ideas would be transformational leadership versus transactional leadership. So transformational leaders inspire change and transactional leaders focus on routine. So again, it's maybe sort of the difference between leading and managing. But again, both of these are legitimate and can be used correctly in different times and different circumstances. Sometimes it's necessary to be transformational, but it's not always necessary to be transformational. And a lot of day-to-day managing is in fact transactional. We got phrases like lead from the front, means that the manager is actively engaged and taking on responsibilities, probably involving the day-to-day development of the project or whatever's going on. Delegate responsibility means empowering others to make decisions and be responsible for different roles and different tasks. So you put this all together, we can get phrases like, she's a transformational leader who motivates through vision. or he's more of a hands-off manager who trusts his staff, or they take a collaborative approach, encouraging feedback. So this vocabulary we've seen, we can put it together to make phrases which describe managers and manager styles. Another comparison you can make is directive versus participative. So directive leaders give clear instructions, while participative leaders involve the team in decisions. We also have task-focused versus people-focused. Task-focused leaders prioritize goals. People-focused leaders prioritize team well-being. And again, it can be more appropriate to be one or the other at different times. Something you can think about is choose a leader you know and describe their style using these comparisons and examples. Reflect on their approach, so reflect how their approach affects their team's motivation and success. So again, try and think about your life, your circumstances, the manager you work with, or perhaps you are the manager that you work with, in which case, how would you see your own management style? And how do you think others would see your management style if you are the manager? Some useful idioms we can use to talk about leadership. We can use the phrase at the helm. This is a nautical phrase that comes from shipping. Idiomatically means to be in charge and in control of a situation, just like the captain steering a ship, responsible for guiding the team or organization. So the captain of a ship is very much an example of hands-on manager, right? Lead from the front means to set an example by actively showing the way and taking initiative, inspiring others to follow through actions rather than words. Take ownership is a really popular buzz phrase in business, especially for employees. It involves accepting full responsibility for decisions and outcomes, demonstrating accountability and commitment to the team's success. So that is to say, if you do something really well, then you say, yeah, I did that, good for me. But if you make a mistake or you get something wrong, you say, yeah, that was me. I'm going to learn from it and hopefully it won't happen again. So this is taking ownership. Step up means to rise to a challenge or take action when needed, showing courage and readiness to handle difficult situations. Pass the buck means avoiding responsibility by shifting the blame or tasks to someone else. So not taking responsibility. A behavior that undermines trust in leadership. Leaders should never pass the buck. So key takeaways from this one. Leadership vocabulary is essential for clearly describing both leadership styles and effectiveness. Again, the importance, we come back to this point, the importance of precision and clarity in the language that you use in a business environment. Key themes to remember are balancing authority with empathy and providing direction while maintaining flexibility. Using descriptive adjectives alongside natural collocations help convey leadership qualities in a fluent, native-like manner. For example, a supportive leader who empowers others, or a rigid manager who resists feedback. And to end with, you can reflect on your own leadership journey. What leadership traits do you aim to develop in yourself? So maybe if you're already a leader or manager, where are you right now? We've already thought about that. If there's anything that you think could be better, which of these phrases or words that we've seen would you like to be able to apply to yourself in your leadership role, either now or in the future? Thanks very much, guys. I'll see you in the next one.